Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff so massive, so overwhelming, that your brain struggles to even process what your eyes are seeing. The horizon stretches endlessly. The layers of stone beneath your feet seem to go down forever, painted in shades of red, orange, and gold that shift with the movement of the sun. The air is dry, crisp, and charged with an ancient silence that makes you feel small, like you are standing not just in a place, but in a story written over millions of years. That, my friends, is the Grand Canyon. But as iconic as it is, the Grand Canyon is more than just a jaw-dropping view. Beneath its breathtaking beauty lie secrets, mysteries, and mind-blowing facts that most people have never heard about. Today, we're diving into the top 10 facts about the Grand Canyon, and trust me, by the end of this journey, you'll never look at it the same way again. Let's begin with fact number 10. 10. The Grand Canyon isn't the world as deep as canyon, but it as one of the most complex. When people think of the Grand Canyon, the word biggest often comes to mind. It's iconic, monumental, and for many, the ultimate symbol of vastness. But here's the twist. The Grand Canyon is not the deepest canyon in the world. In fact, it doesn't even take the top 3 spots. The Yarlung Tsangpo Grand Canyon in Tibet plunges deeper, with depths reaching over 19,000 feet when measured from the peaks above. Even Hell's Canyon, located right here in the United States along the Oregon-Idaho border, is technically deeper than the Grand Canyon. So why, then, does the Grand Canyon feel so much more colossal? Why do millions of visitors flock there every year to be humbled by its scale? The answer lies not just in depth, but in its complexity. Unlike other canyons, the Grand Canyon stretches for 277 miles, with an average width of 10 miles and layers upon layers of geological history exposed like the pages of an open book. The canyon isn't just one cut in the earth. It's a labyrinth of ridges, plateaus, side canyons, hidden valleys, caves, and cliffs, each telling a different chapter of Earth's story. Think about this. Imagine if someone gave you the complete history of the planet in book form. You'd need countless volumes, each thicker than the last, just to capture a fraction of it. The Grand Canyon compresses that story into its walls. From the youngest layers on the rim, only a few 100 million years old, down to the Vishnu schist at the bottom, rocks that are nearly 2 billion years old, you are literally staring at time itself. It's like standing in a natural cathedral built by the slow but unstoppable hand of erosion. American explorers in the 19th century described it as beyond comprehension. John Wesley Powell, the one-armed Civil War veteran who led the first scientific expedition down the Colorado River in 1869, said no language could describe what he saw. And he was right. Other canyons may beat it in depth, but none rival the Grand Canyon in its sheer storytelling power. It's the difference between looking at a skyscraper and looking at an entire city. For Americans, the Grand Canyon isn't just a canyon. It's part of the cultural identity, a symbol of exploration, endurance, and wonder. Tourists stand at the rim expecting to see a big hole in the ground, but instead are struck silent. Parents, kids, hikers, even seasoned travelers, many are moved to tears just by the scale of it. That emotional punch, more than a measurement on a chart, is what makes the Grand Canyon truly grand. Yfert 9. People have lived in the Grand Canyon for thousands of years. Here is something most people dawn to realize. The Grand Canyon isn't just a geological wonder. It's also a human story, one that goes back thousands of years. Long before tourists arrived with cameras and sunscreen, before it became a national park, the Grand Canyon was home. Archaeologists have discovered evidence of human habitation in the canyon going back nearly 12,000 years. Ancient peoples carved out an existence here, hunting game, gathering plants, and building shelters in caves and cliffside dwellings. The canyon wasn't a tourist attraction to them. It was life itself, providing food, shelter, water, and spiritual meaning. Among the many indigenous peoples tied to the Grand Canyon are the Hopi, Navajo, Havasupai, Hualapai, Paiute, and Zuni tribes. Each of these groups has its own stories, traditions, and sacred connections to the land. For example, the Havasupai, whose name literally means people of the blue-green waters, still live inside the canyon today. Their village of Supai is one of the most remote communities in the United States. You can't drive there. To reach it, you have to hike 8 miles down into the canyon, ride a mule, or take a helicopter. And yet, despite its isolation, the Havasupai have lived in harmony with the canyon for centuries, farming along the streams and guarding one of its most beautiful treasures, the turquoise waterfalls of Havasu Creek. To indigenous peoples, the Grand Canyon isn't just a place, it's a sacred landscape. The Hopi, for instance, believe it's the place of emergence, where their ancestors came into this world. Navajo traditions weave it into their spiritual geography. Even today, ceremonies, prayers, and cultural practices connect native peoples to this vast expanse. But history hasn't always been kind. When the Grand Canyon was turned into a national park in 1919, many native communities were displaced or restricted from their ancestral lands. It's a painful reminder that while the canyon is celebrated as a wonder of the world, it's also a place of contested history. Today, there are efforts to honor and restore indigenous voices in the management of the park. Tribal nations now work alongside the National Park Service, helping to tell a fuller story of the canyon, one that includes both the rocks and the people who Chatvi called them home for millennia. Picture this. While tourists stand on the south rim snapping selfies, a Navajo elder might see that same view as part of a story that stretches back to the beginning of time. For one person, it's a vacation spot. For another, it's sacred ground. Both experiences coexist in the canyon's silence, layered into the same landscape. And here is something that always blows visitors away. Even though the Grand Canyon feels remote and untouched, it's been crisscrossed by human footsteps for thousands of years. Every trail you hike may once have been used by ancient peoples traveling between water sources or hunting grounds. Every cave could hold remnants of a fire from centuries ago. When you realize that the Grand Canyon stops being just a natural wonder, it becomes a living museum, one where human history and natural history are fused together. 8. The Grand Canyon has a hidden cave system, and not all of it has been explored. If you think the Grand Canyon is impressive from the rim, just wait until you realize what's hidden inside its walls. Beneath the layers of sandstone and limestone lies one of the most extensive cave systems in North America. In fact, experts estimate that there could be more than 1,000 caves hidden throughout the canyon. And here's the catch. Only a fraction of them have ever been explored. This fact alone makes the canyon feel like something out of an adventure movie. Imagine Indiana Jones stepping into a dark cavern, torch in hand, uncovering ancient secrets carved into stone. That's not far from reality. Some of these caves are so remote and so dangerous to access that scientists believe we may never fully know what lies within them. Others have revealed artifacts, fossils, and mysteries that completely change our understanding of who lived here and what the land was like thousands of years ago. One of the most famous is the Cave of Domes, the only cave in the canyon open to the public. Located on Horseshoe Mesa, it's filled with twisting tunnels, echoing chambers, and formations that sparkle under flashlight beams. But the Cave of Domes is just the tip of the iceberg. Many other caves are sealed, locked away by the Park Service to protect fragile ecosystems and archaeological treasures. Inside these caves, explorers have found bat colonies, ice formations, and even the mummified remains of ancient animals. And here's a story that adds to the canyon's aura of mystery. Back in 1909, a newspaper article in the Arizona Gazette claimed that a group of explorers had discovered a vast underground city inside the Grand Canyon, complete with Egyptian artifacts, hieroglyphs, and statues of gods. According to the article, the Smithsonian Institution investigated, then covered up the discovery. Historians today believe the story was a hoax, But the legend has never died. Even now, conspiracy theorists insist that the government is hiding something beneath the canyon's surface. Whether or not you buy into the conspiracy, one thing is clear. The Grand Canyon's caves are a treasure trove of the unknown. Biologists are still discovering new species of insects and microbes in these hidden spaces. Life forms that have adapted to complete darkness, where no sunlight has ever touched. And geologists study the mineral formations inside the caves to understand how the canyon evolved over time. Every discovery opens a new door, suggesting that the Grand Canyon isn't just a relic of the past. It is a frontier of ongoing exploration. Think about that for a moment. We live in an age of satellites and drones where it feels like every inch of the planet has been mapped. And yet, right here in Arizona, one of the most famous landmarks on Earth still holds secrets locked in darkness, waiting to be uncovered. That, as the magic of the Grand Canyon. It humbles us by reminding us how much we still don't know. Number 7. The weather inside the canyon can change in the blink of an eye. Most people picture Arizona as hot, dry, and sunny, a desert where the biggest danger is forgetting your water bottle. But here's the thing. The Grand Canyon's weather is as unpredictable as the canyon itself. Depending on where you are, the temperature difference can be extreme, sometimes up to 30 degrees Fahrenheit between the rim and the river below. Here's why. The canyon is essentially a giant natural staircase. The south rim sits at about 7,000 feet above sea level, while the Colorado River flows at about 2,400 feet. That drop in elevation means you're moving through multiple climate zones in a single hike. Up top, you might be in a pine forest with cool mountain air. Halfway down, you're in a desert scrubland. By the time you reach the bottom, you're standing in a scorching hot desert where summer temperatures can exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Imagine hiking down Bright Angel Trail. You start in the morning wearing a light jacket because it's chilly on the rim. A few hours later, you're stripping off layers as the sun beats down, and by the time you reach the river, you're drenched in sweat, begging for shade. That's the canyon's climate roller coaster, and it's not just heat. The Grand Canyon is notorious for sudden storms. In the summer, monsoon season brings violent afternoon thunderstorms that can unleash walls of rain, lightning strikes, and even flash floods in the narrow side canyons. Tourists who thought they were on a casual hike have found themselves running for their lives as torrents of water roar through the canyon. Creeks. Flash floods here aren't a trickle. They're walls of water that can sweep away boulders the size of cars. In winter, the canyon transforms again. Snow blankets the rim, creating breathtaking views of red rock dusted with white powder. Down below, it may still be warm enough to hike in a t-shirt. It's like experiencing two different worlds stacked on top of each other. This unpredictability is one reason why the Grand Canyon is considered one of the most dangerous national parks in the United States. More than 600 people have died here in recorded history, many from heat stroke, hypothermia, or accidents triggered by sudden weather changes. Rangers constantly remind visitors the canyon creates its own weather system, and you can't always trust the forecast. For Americans, there's a saying that captures this perfectly. Hike smart or don't hike at all. The canyon is beautiful, but it doesn't forgive mistakes. Every year, rescue helicopters buzz into the gorge to save hikers who underestimated the weather. Some survive with a good story, others don't. Yet, for those who prepare, the dramatic swings of the Grand Canyon's climate add to its sense of wonder. Standing on the rim with snowflakes on your shoulders while looking down at a desert bathed in golden light is a surreal experience. It's like seeing multiple worlds folded into one landscape. Few places on Earth can offer that kind of natural theater. Number 6. The Grand Canyon creates its own ecosystems. When most people look at the Grand Canyon, they see one giant desert landscape. Dry, rocky, harsh, and unforgiving. But the truth is far more fascinating. The Grand Canyon is like a vertical continent, stacked with different ecosystems from top to bottom. In fact, scientists say it contains more biodiversity than some entire countries. Here's how it works. Because the canyon stretches across such a huge range of elevations, from 2,400 feet at the Colorado River to over 8,000 feet on the North Rim, it passes through multiple climate zones. It's like walking from Mexico to Canada in a single day, without ever leaving Arizona. Each step down the canyon walls feels like crossing into another world. On the South Rim, at higher elevations, you'll find cool forests filled with ponderosa pines. The air is crisp, the shade is deep, and elk sometimes wander through the trees. Descend a little lower, and you'll see desert scrub, cactus, agave, and yucca plants tough enough to survive under blistering sun. Go deeper still, near the Colorado River, and you'll find a riparian zone with willows, cottonwood trees, and delicate wildflowers thriving along the banks. And here's the kicker. Because of this layering, the Grand Canyon hosts an astonishing variety of life. More than 1,700 species of plants, 500 species of animals, 450 species of birds, 90 types of mammals, and dozens of reptiles and amphibians have been recorded in the park. It's a Noah's Ark of the American Southwest. One of the most remarkable residents is the California condor, one of the rarest birds in the world. With a wingspan stretching nearly 10 feet, condors once teetered on the brink of extinction, with fewer than 30 left in the wild by the 1980s. Thanks to conservation efforts, including breeding and release programs in the Grand Canyon, their numbers have slowly climbed back into the hundreds. Spotting one soaring above the canyon is like seeing a prehistoric creature come back to life. But it's not just the big animals that matter. Scientists regularly discover new insects, plants, and microorganisms that thrive in the canyon's unique conditions. Each microclimate creates niches where life finds a way to adapt and flourish. Think of it this way. Most national parks in America showcase one type of landscape: Yosemite Hugh S. granite cliffs, Yellowstone's geysers, Everglades wetlands. The Grand Canyon contains slices of many landscapes in one vast stairway. For hikers and scientists alike, it's like opening a series of doors, each revealing a new ecosystem with its own rules of survival. This vertical layering also explains why the canyon feels so alive despite looking barren from a distance. Stand at the rim, and it might seem like nothing but rock and silence. But descend a few miles, and suddenly you're surrounded by blooming cacti, hummingbirds darting among wildflowers, lizards sunning themselves on boulders, and streams bubbling with trout. The canyon teaches you that beauty often hides in layers, waiting for those willing to look deeper. And perhaps the most mind-blowing part, some of these ecosystems are so fragile that a single invasive species, or a shift in climate, could change them forever. Protecting this living laboratory is one of the greatest challenges park rangers face today. The Grand Canyon isn't just a wonder of geology, it's a wonder of life itself. Number 5. The Colorado River carved the canyon, but the story isn't that simple. We've all heard the classic explanation. The Colorado River carved the Grand Canyon over millions of years. And yes, that's true, partly. But the full story is far more complicated and far more fascinating. The river is often called the architect of the canyon, but really, it's more like the final sculptor who took a chisel to a masterpiece that was already in the making. The layers of rock you see in the canyon walls were laid down hundreds of millions of years before the river even existed. Ancient seas, deserts, swamps, and mountains all rose and fell here, leaving behind layers of limestone, sandstone, and shale. Over time, tectonic forces lifted the entire Colorado Plateau thousands of feet into the air, raising these ancient layers into the sky. Then came the river. About 6 million years ago, the Colorado River began cutting its path through the plateau, slowly eroding the uplifted rock. But here's where it gets tricky. Geologists debate whether the canyon formed in one continuous event or in separate stages. Some evidence suggests that parts of the canyon existed long before the Colorado River as we know it today, carved by ancient rivers that have since vanished. Others argue that the river's course changed dramatically over time, sometimes flowing backward, sometimes rerouting entirely. Think about that. The landscape we see today may be the product of not one river, but many, each carving a piece of the puzzle over tens of millions of years. The Grand Canyon, then, isn't the work of a single hand, but of countless forces layered together: water, wind, tectonics, even volcanic activity. And here's a detail that most visitors never consider. The Colorado River is still carving the canyon today. Every flood, every rush of spring snowmelt carries sediment downstream, deepening and reshaping the gorge ever so slightly. In other words, the Grand Canyon isn't finished. It's a work in progress, unfolding at a pace too slow for human eyes but relentless all the same. To put this into perspective for modern Americans, imagine New York City's skyline. Every skyscraper tells part of the story of the city's growth. Now imagine those buildings being demolished and rebuilt, layer after layer, over millions of years, until the skyline itself becomes a history book. That's what the Grand Canyon is, a skyline of stone, written by time itself. For John Wesley Powell, the same explorer we mentioned earlier, the river wasn't just a geologic force, it was a death-defying challenge. In 1869, Powell and his crew navigated wooden boats down the Colorado through the canyon, facing rapids no one had mapped and walls no one had measured. Many thought the journey was suicidal. By the time they emerged, battered but alive, they had charted a path into the unknown and given America its first real glimpse of the canyon's scale. Powell later wrote, "The wonders of the Grand Canyon cannot be adequately represented in symbols of speech nor by speech itself." That quote captures the paradox. Science can tell us how the canyon formed, but words can never capture how it feels. The Colorado River is more than just water-carving rock. It's the lifeblood of the canyon, the reason the story continues even today. 4. The Grand Canyon has its own phantom city of the dead. As if the canyon's caves weren't mysterious enough, one of the most spine-tingling stories tied to the Grand Canyon is the legend of the Phantom City. And no, this isn't just ghost stories whispered around a campfire. This tale has roots in actual archaeological discoveries and bizarre reports that refuse to fade away. In 1909, a small article appeared in the Arizona Gazette. It claimed that an explorer named G.E. Kincaid, working with the Smithsonian, had stumbled upon an underground cavern system filled with artifacts unlike anything known in American archaeology. Inside, he supposedly found mummies, hieroglyphics, copper weapons, and statues that looked strikingly Egyptian. Some reports even suggested a city of the dead, carved into the stone, hidden deep within the canyon walls. Now, most historians dismiss the story as a hoax, pointing out that the Smithsonian never confirmed any such expedition. But the legend persists. Even today, you'll find people who believe the government covered it up, that somewhere inside the canyon lies proof of an ancient civilization connected to Egypt or even extraterrestrials. Hoax or not, the legend speaks to something powerful about the Grand Canyon. It feels like the kind of place that could hide entire cities. The scale is so massive, the side canyons so twisting, and the caves so unreachable that you can help but wonder what might be lurking in the shadows. Many Native American stories also speak of spirits and underworlds hidden in the canyon, reinforcing the sense that this place is more than just rock. It's a portal between worlds. And if you think this is just fringe talk, consider this. Real archaeological sites inside the canyon have revealed ancient dwellings, granaries, and artifacts from peoples who lived here thousands of years ago. Some caves were used as burial chambers. Others stored food. Every discovery adds another layer to the canyon's human story, reminding us that it has been both a home and a mystery for countless generations. So, whether or not a phantom city, lies buried within, one thing is certain. The canyon-AS walls hide secrets we still don't fully understand. And the haunting silence of those vast cliffs makes the legend feel strangely believable. 3. The Grand Canyon can make you hear things that aren't there. Standing on the rim of the Grand Canyon, most people are struck first by the silence. No cars, no city buzz, just the whisper of wind and maybe the distant cry of a hawk. But here's where things get eerie. That silence can actually play tricks on your mind. Some visitors have reported hearing phantom voices, footsteps, or music drifting across the canyon, even when no one else is around. Scientists explain this as a phenomenon tied to the canyon's acoustics. The walls act like a massive natural amphitheater, bouncing sound in strange and unpredictable ways. A person shouting from a mile away might sound like they're whispering right next to you. A single cough from the river can echo upward like thunder. The distortion of sound makes it easy for the brain to fill in gaps with its own imagination. But there's also a cultural layer to this. Native American traditions often describe the canyon as a place where the spirit world overlaps with the living. For the Havasupai and Hopi peoples, certain areas of the canyon are sacred, tied to origin stories and spiritual ceremonies. Hearing sea voices in such a place isn't necessarily frightening. It can be seen as contact with the ancestors, a reminder that the canyon isn't empty but alive with memory. For modern visitors, though, the experience can be unnerving. Imagine camping alone at the bottom of the canyon, the fire crackling low, and suddenly you hear what sounds like chanting echoing through the darkness. You shine your flashlight. No one's there. You climb into your tent, and the sound fades. Was it wind? Was it water? Or something else? Even outside of the supernatural, the canyon's soundscape is unique. Researchers from acoustic labs have studied it to understand natural quiet, a state almost impossible to find in today's noisy world. The Grand Canyon is one of the few places left where you can stand still and hear your own heartbeat louder than the environment around you. That kind of silence can be unsettling for people used to constant noise. It forces you inward, confronting thoughts you might normally drown out. And let's not forget the phenomenon of the phantom breeze. Visitors sometimes feel a sudden gust of wind, even when the air is still. Combined with shifting light and echoing sounds, it creates an atmosphere that feels almost supernatural. It's no wonder the canyon is tied to so many ghost stories and spiritual legends. Think of it like this. The Grand Canyon isn't just a place you see. It's a place you feel and hear in ways you can't explain. Its silence is never truly silent, and its echoes carry more than just sound. For some, that makes it magical. For others, it makes it terrifying. Either way, it ensures the canyon lingers in your mind long after you've left. 2. The Grand Canyon holds a record-breaking skywalk. The Grand Canyon is already overwhelming when viewed from the rim. But what if you could step beyond the edge, literally? That's exactly what the Grand Canyon Skywalk allows you to do. Opened in 2007, this horseshoe-shaped glass bridge juts out 70 feet over the canyon's edge on the Hualapai Indian Reservation, offering one of the most vertigo-inducing experiences on Earth. Standing on the skywalk, you were looking down through 5 layers of ultra-strong glass at a drop of 4,000 feet straight to the canyon floor. To put that into perspective, that's taller than 3 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. And unlike standing at the rim, where you still feel anchored to solid ground, the skywalk gives you the sensation of floating in midair, suspended over an abyss that seems bottomless. The engineering is as jaw-dropping as the view. The skywalk weighs more than 1 million pounds, anchored to the canyon walls with steel beams, and is designed to withstand an 8.0 earthquake and winds of over 100 mph. It can hold up to 800 people at once, though the Hualapai limit the number at any time to keep the experience safe and serene. Not everyone was thrilled about the skywalk at first. Some argued it spoiled the natural beauty of the canyon, while others worried it disrespected sacred land. But for the Hualapai tribe, the Skywalk has become a crucial source of revenue, helping support their community through tourism. It's a reminder that the canyon isn't just a national park. It is also tribal land, tied to living people who must balance preservation with survival. Visitors who step onto the Skywalk describe it as life-changing. Some are paralyzed with fear at first, inching forward while clinging to the railings. Others throw their arms wide and laugh into the wind. Everyone, though, comes away with a deeper appreciation for the scale of the canyon. Photographs and videos can't prepare you for the raw, physical sensation of staring down thousands of feet of empty air beneath your shoes. It's the closest most of us will ever get to flying. Number 1. The Grand Canyon is still changing and may look totally different in the future. Here's the final fact, and maybe the most mind-blowing of all. The Grand Canyon isn't finished. What you see today is just one snapshot in an ongoing story that has been unfolding for millions of years, and will keep unfolding long after we were gone. Every day, the Colorado River continues to carve its path deeper into the rock. Every rainstorm, every flash flood, every gust of wind chips away at the canyon walls. Landslides reshape cliffs. Rockfalls alter trails. The canyon is alive, constantly shifting, even if the changes are too slow for us to notice in a single lifetime. Scientists estimate the Grand Canyon as we know it began around 6 million years ago, but some evidence suggests portions of it may be tens of millions of years older, and in the next several million years it will continue to evolve. The river may cut deeper, exposing new layers of rock. Erosion may widen the gorge. Entire sections may collapse or transform. To future generations, the Grand Canyon could look dramatically different than it does today. And here's where it gets truly profound. The Grand Canyon is more than just a landscape. It's a reminder of our own fleeting place in the timeline of Earth. Human history stretches back maybe a few thousand years, but the canyon's rocks go back nearly 2 billion. Standing on its edge, you're not just looking into space, you're looking into time, into the sheer immensity of a planet that existed long before us and will continue long after we are gone. This is why so many visitors describe the canyon as a spiritual experience. It puts everything into perspective. Your daily worries shrink when you re-staring into an abyss carved by forces older than humanity itself. In that silence, you feel both small and connected, like a single thread in a tapestry woven across eternity. So yes, the Grand Canyon is beautiful. Yes, it's awe-inspiring. But more than anything, it's alive. It's a story still being written, layer by layer, stone by stone, carried forward by the river that carved it. And we, lucky enough to witness it in our brief moment of existence, get to be part of that story. And there you have it. The top 10 facts about the Grand Canyon. From hidden caves and phantom cities to bizarre weather, thriving ecosystems, and a river that never stops carving, the Grand Canyon is so much more than a postcard view. It's a place of mystery, danger, beauty, and time itself. A place that humbles us, challenges us, and reminds us of how small we are in the face of Earth's immensity. If you ever get the chance to stand at its rim, take it. No video, no photo, no story can ever replace the feeling of being there in person. The canyon will outlive us all, but for the brief moment we share with it, it gives us something rare. Perspective. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with friends who love epic natural wonders, and subscribe to our channel for more jaw-dropping stories from around the world. And hey, drop a comment below. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon, or is it on your bucket list? We'd love to hear your stories.